every year, if you get to the end of the year, Webster's usually puts out the new words that are coming out in the dictionary for the next year, and words that have been used a lot. If it hasn't already, and I'm sure they have, but if they haven't, one of the words that I'm sure that's going to get put in this year is sequestration. And I wanted President Trumka, the AFL-CIO, and I kind of agree on what the definition of sequestration is. And that is a bunch of dumb cuts made by a bunch of people that have self-inflicted their own wounds, not only on themselves, but on the country. And these self-inflicted wounds can be done away with just as easily by self-inflicting a cure on it. I think because maybe it hasn't gotten into the dictionary yet, a lot of the legislators up in Washington think that it's still a made-up word, that it's kind of synonymous for sound bites and getting your own political views out to Fox News or to the Today Show or whoever. But what these legislators in Washington need to understand is that the cuts that the sequester has put forth are real cuts. They're going to be real cuts that are affecting real people. For example, public safety, if this sequester keeps going on, is going to be cut in Iowa by about $6.5 million. It's going to leave fire departments understaffed and working without necessary critical equipment. If the sequestration is left to go unchecked, $460,000 is going to have to be dropped from public health emergency preparedness grants. And this is going to mean a reduced ability to respond to natural disasters, chemical disasters, biological disasters, and the whole 9 yards. Almost $5 million is going to get cut from LIHEAP, or the Low Income Housing Energy Assistance Program. And that means that days like today, it's not only going to get uncomfortable, it's going to get downright dangerous for a lot of elderly and low-income people throughout the state of Iowa. And Iowa's also going to lose about $6.4 million in funding from primary and secondary education, putting around 90 teachers and job aids at risk. In addition, about 7,000 fewer students will be served, and approximately 50 fewer schools will be receiving funding. And the cuts go on and on. I've got pages, and Senator Hatch had pages of cuts that will take place here in Iowa if this sequester is allowed to continue. But like I said, the sequester is a self-inflicted cut. And the remedy can also be self-inflicted. First of all, Washington has to come to the realization that sequester is not just a soundbite. That these are real cuts affecting real people and bringing real pain to the people of Iowa. And once they realize that, they can go to the second step, and that's to repeal sequestration. It can be repealed just as easily as it was brought about. And then the third step comes about, which is the hard step, but the step that we elected these people to do. And that's to sit down at the table and replace sequestration with cooperation and conciliation and compromise. They need to sit at the table and not talk at people, they need to talk to people. And remember that all options are on the table, revenue as well as spending. The first thing that I would do is to get rid of a lot of these loopholes that are taking the bite out of the last round of revenue enhancement that was taking place. It doesn't mean anything if you've got a bunch of loopholes that you can get out of paying a higher tax rate from back in the Clinton era. But then everything else is on the table also. So I guess my recommendation or the advice that I would give to my congressman from Washington, Representative Latham, is maybe not spend so much time in Des Moines telling me what I want and what the people of Iowa want, but go back to Washington, sit down at the table, get us out of this mess, and do the people's work for once.